Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Everybody's doing okay? Rainy here today, really rainy. We had some thunderstorms late last night, I think maybe early morning, about 1 or 2:30, and it hadn't stopped raining since, and it's still raining. We get like heavy downpours, and it tapers off, and then more downpours. So lots of rain here. Last 24 hours, I'm going to say. Of course, Saturday it wasn't too, dry. But the temperatures have cooled, and last night it was like 52 degrees or something. So it was, it was a cool night. Didn't have to run my air conditioner, which is good. But yeah, very wet. It's been, so far, it's been for the last, 4 days, I guess. Not like totally sunny, but it just, maybe it'll get better as the days go by. Who knows? But lots of rain, lots and lots of rain. So today, some investigation was done into Texas's anti-abortion heartbeat law that they said would save infants, babies, right? Well, it turns out that the investigation has shown that that's actually not true. It hasn't done that, at least, not yet anyway. But there's an article here from Yahoo News, posted from USA Today, okay, but it's in the Yahoo News column. An article written by Eduardo Cuevas, I guess that's how you say it. And it says that Texas lawmakers touted their heartbeat law as an effort to save lives, but the state's near-total ban on abortion appears to have triggered an increase in infant deaths, according to a new study published today, Monday. The findings in JAMA Pediatrics show that infant deaths rose after Texas's Senate Bill 8, which banned all abortion after about 6 weeks from conception, SB 8, became Texas law in September 2021. And U.S. Supreme Court overturned the constitutional right to abortion just over 9 months after that, on June 24th, 2022. The High Court ruling in the Dobbs case prompted more than a dozen states to issue near-total bans on abortion. Observers speculate that evidence will also show increases in infant deaths in those states, akin to what Texas has seen, the study said. Quote, "It just points to some of the devastating consequences of abortion bans that maybe people weren't thinking about when they passed this law," said Allison Gemmell, an assistant professor at Johns Hopkins University, Bloomberg School of Public Health, who authored the study, told USA Today. She called the deaths following the Texas heartbeat law its, quote, "spillover effects on moms and babies," unquote. In the wake of the law's passage in Texas, More babies died before their first birthday, likely due to birth defects or genetic problems that wouldn't have allowed them to live. The study found these pregnancies would typically have been terminated by abortion, according to researchers. The Texas heartbeat law does not provide exceptions for pregnancies involving such conditions. Mothers are legally obligated to carry these babies to birth under state law. In the peer-reviewed Journal of the American Medical Association, Jamil and researchers from Johns Hopkins and Michigan State University wrote that the Texas law was linked to unexpected increases in infant and neonatal deaths between 2021 and 2022. Prior research drew a correlation between the uptick in infant deaths and anti-abortion laws taking effect. However, no studies until now have attributed the fatalities directly to the laws prohibiting the termination of these pregnancies. Quote, abortion care is an essential component of comprehensive health care, and when it is restricted, the human impacts are devastating, unquote. Wendy Davis, a senior advisor for Planned Parenthood Texas Votes, said in a statement. Davis, who filibustered for abortion rights when she was a Democratic state senator, noted that the study only covered 2022, not the results in 23 and 24, in the wake of a more restrictive abortion ban that came with the Dobbs decision. This, quote, likely means the situation on the ground today is even more dire, unquote, Davis said. Texas Governor Greg Abbott's office did not dispute the study's findings, but defended the Republican-controlled state's anti-abortion record. This effort included the 2021 heartbeat law, quote, to save the innocent, unborn, and now thousands of children have been given a chance at life, unquote. Andrew Mihaljeris, a spokesperson for Abbott, said in a statement to USA Today. He said the governor has taken, quote, significant action to protect the sanctity of life, unquote, and offered resources to expectant mothers, quote, so they can choose life for their child, unquote. Anti-abortion advocates also didn't contest the uptick in infant deaths cited in the study. Advocates for the heartbeat law and other legislation to restrict abortion say such bans protect life. They say terminating a fetus with a terminal illness is, quote, choosing to kill that child intentionally, unquote. The overwhelming majority of such abortions happen before the fetus is viable. In Texas, legislation has dramatically reduced the number of abortions performed in the state. Amy O'Donnell, a spokesperson for Texas Alliance for Life, said the study's findings didn't come as a surprise. She said babies born with disabilities and even fatal anomalies deserve a chance at life, even if that means a newborn dies after birth from a condition doctors anticipated would be lethal. The death of a child is not easy, she acknowledged. She noted that her nonprofit offers resources for families grieving from such losses. Quote, in Texas, we celebrate every unborn child's life saved. We treasure the fact that our laws are protecting women's lives, unquote. She said, quote, we don't apologize for the fact that we don't support discrimination against children facing disabilities or fatal diagnosis in or out of the womb, and that's the line that we just believe should not be crossed. Jamil of Johns Hopkins said babies that died shortly after being born with birth defects, quote, probably caused a lot of unnecessary trauma to families, unquote. The researchers examined death records beginning after the heartbeat law went into effect. The study created a synthetic Texas that simulated outcomes that would have happened had the law not been in effect, and compared the numbers to national trends during that period. In 2021, 1,985 Texas infants died before their first birthday. The next year, with SB 8 in effect, the fatalities jumped to 2,240, a 12.9% increase that came as the U.S. experienced an overall increase of less than 2%. Deaths attributed to congenital anomalies or birth defects spiked nearly 23% in Texas compared to a 3% decrease nationally. Quote, it suggests that really this policy was responsible for this increase in infant deaths in Texas, unquote, Jamil said. The study is significant because of Texas's role as a conservative state with urban and rural areas that may affect what happens in the rest of the United States, according to Dr. Tracy Wilkinson, an associate professor of pediatrics and Obstetrics and Gynecology at the Indiana University School of Medicine. Texas has been living under restrictions longer than any other states that enacted abortion bans after the Dobbs ruling. Quote, when people ask me why this is happening, it's really simple, unquote, said Wilkinson, who was not involved with the new study. Quote, when you take away people's ability to make decisions if and when they have pregnancies, you're going to see outcomes like increasing infant and maternal mortality, unquote. The study did not examine the effects of infant deaths on the health of the mothers who were legally required to deliver dead babies to term, nor did it look at the mental health effects of carrying infants and delivering them only to see them die. The study also raises but does not tackle questions about the financial cost to families of carrying and delivering terminally ill newborns. Jamil is now working to understand the impact of abortion restrictions on parents of different races and ethnicities. Prior research has shown that black mothers and babies face higher death rates than other groups. The study reflects what Molly Duane, a senior staff attorney at the Abortion Rights Advocacy Nonprofit Center for Reproductive Rights, has seen in the courtroom arguing against Texas's laws. She recently represented women who sued the state after they were denied medical abortions. One of her clients, Samantha Cassiano, was required by law to carry a child that developed without a brain. In late May, the Texas Supreme Court ruled pregnant patients must have a, quote, life-threatening condition, unquote, in order to terminate a pregnancy. Duane questioned the claim by anti-abortion activists that Texas is a, quote, pro-life, unquote, state given the study's findings. Quote, women are hurting, families are hurting, babies are dying, and no one in the state is taking responsibility for any of that real human suffering, unquote, she said. In late 2023, a U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention report found increases in infant deaths for the first time in more than 20 years. The states identified in the report with increased fatalities were states that restricted abortion access. However, experts cautioned at the time that they could not say what had caused the spike in fatalities. The Texas study went one step further, finding one state where abortion restrictions resulted in more deaths. Okay, a lot there going on, huh? But let me read this short little paragraph here. According to new statistics from the Association of American Medical Colleges, for the second year in a row now, students graduating from U.S. medical schools were less likely to apply for residency positions in states with abortion bans and other significant abortion restrictions. Quote, people don't want to go to a place where evidence-based practice and human rights in general are curtailed, unquote, said Beverly Gray, an associate professor of obstetrics and gynecology at Duke University School of Medicine. This self-selection away from states with abortion restrictions will exacerbate the shortages of physicians in rural and underserved areas. And yeah, I can't help but think that, because look, these doctors, as you know, in Texas and other states that are banning abortion, they're being confronted an ethical problem, and it stands before them that they're being prevented basically from doing their best to save a life. Okay, and I don't see how any law could be made that puts a doctor's oath to save lives, you know, on the chopping block. I don't see how that's even allowed. I mean, I can't see, you know, that there's got to be some kind of a legal ground for these doctors to stand on that says, you know, I took an oath, you know, to help and to, you know, not do harm to others, but your fucking law is forcing me to do just that. Okay? You know, where does, you know, my oath begin and end, and your right to step on my oath begin and end? You know what I'm saying? You got a conflict here. There's a conflict here between a state ruling that a doctor can't do certain things, okay, and I don't see how that's even allowed or even legal. In my mind, that can't be legal. It just can't be. A state can't just, order doctors not to do certain care during a pregnancy at a point, that might be crucial, and they just, no, sorry, can't do anything more. And of course, the doctors don't want to do that, but they're afraid that they're going to be prosecuted by the state if they go ahead and do something that violates the state law. Okay, what happened to the ethical issue of saving lives? Isn't that more important than some fucking state law? I think it is. I can't really see the logic here. But then, isn't that the problem with the anti-abortionists in this country overall? Is that their idea of right and wrong is so fucking spun in a fucking a fucking twist of logic that you have to go through pretzels in order to understand where they're coming from. And it doesn't help that they use religion to back up their ideas, because it's like, you might as well say I'm reaching for the god of Apollo, or something. They're going, he's going to tell me what's right. How do you fight against that? When church and state are supposed to be separate, there should be no discussion of religion involved in this kind of situation. We're talking about people alive on earth right now, okay, who are, suffering with an issue here that might, if they don't get the treatment they need, could bring their own death if they don't get taken care of, But, the problem is these anti-abortionists think that people go to these abortion clinics just, out of, I got time to go get an abortion today. They think it's all trivial to the people that go to these clinics and get an abortion, okay? They couldn't be more wrong, all right? They might have seen maybe one or two people in their fucking life, or watched a Lifetime movie about some girl, and they base their opinion on abortion on that, okay? But they don't see every single woman that goes into these clinics. They don't talk to every single woman that goes into these clinics. They don't want to talk to them. What they do is they harass them with signs and things, and they shout at them. But are they going to listen to that lady as to why she's getting the abortion? No, they don't want to hear that, because they don't want their beliefs challenged to say, to make them think about what they believe in. Is it right or wrong? They don't want to believe that. It's not allowed in their faith to not believe that what they've been told or raised to believe is wrong, or narrow-minded, or unjust. They don't want to hear that. So these people that go after these people that that are going to have an abortion in this virile attack mode, and it's gotten so bad at times where people actually been killed, doctors and stuff, and abortion clinics bombed, because they believe so vehemently that their position is the only position, and there's no excuse in the world. It's the same thing with what do they call it? With the reasons why people get abortions. Some of them incest, rape, whatever. That doesn't matter to them. Those reasons don't matter to these folks. They don't care. They don't want to know how that person got pregnant. They don't want to know why that person wants to get an abortion. They just say no abortion, period. Even if that kid, is already dead in the womb or something, no, you can't do anything. Well, how can you kill something that's already killed? It's already dead. You know what I'm saying? What law? You want to walk around with a fucking dead corpse in your body? I mean, how does that sound to you? Jesus. And these people, they don't understand when life begins. Okay, when a scientist tries, or a doctor tries to explain to these people, at what point a fetus becomes sort of a life form, all right, they argue with it right off the bat. No, happens, right from conception. Oh, really? So, in other words, before the sperm hits the egg, it's already alive, right? That's what you're saying. Like I said, the logic behind these people and the position they take, it's old school thinking, okay? That's where it comes from, old school thought. That goes back to my grandparents' days and back further than that, okay? And unfortunately, they raise their kids to carry on that that fucking philosophy of no abortion, no reason to have one, period. Okay, and there was a period of time where anyone that had one, you know, they couldn't talk about it. I mean, it was worse than, you know, than walking the streets as a black man for some of these women. You know, that if anyone ever found out you had an abortion, you were persona non grata. Okay, well, that stigma hasn't left, and it's not going to leave anytime soon, and especially not soon enough, because when you got states like Texas that want to put bans, outright bans on abortion, you know, how does that help to alleviate that belief that they've been taught? You can't get rid of stuff like that if everybody's not on the same fucking page here, you know, to understand why some women need to have an abortion. You know, like I said, it's not fun and games. It's not, oh, well, it's Sunday, let's go have an abortion today. It's not fucking, you know, it's not treated that way, but that's how they make it. All right, that's the way they make it. It's the way they want you to perceive it. Okay, it's that generalization, that narrow-minded thought that drives that sort of belief. It's not the understanding. It's not that they talk to these people. Okay, it ain't got a damn thing to do with that. They just don't want to hear it. They don't want to fucking hear it. That's why you had people, if they're even with the data in their face showing that you got more infant deaths now since you put that outright ban on abortion, they're still out there saying, oh, well, it's better this way. It's better. Really? I thought you people were pro-life. You know, if you're pro-life, wouldn't you want to do something to undo what you just did? So that way there's more babies that are born alive than to do what you're doing now, which is killing more babies and possibly the women who are carrying them. I mean, if you're pro-life, your stance now makes no fucking sense. Okay? But when did they ever make sense about this situation? When all the data that comes out about women needing abortions and what happens to, you know, because, hey, they've been coming forward to Congress and all that to tell their side of the fucking story. You know, like, this is what happened to me. You know, I had to go to another state, and I'm afraid to go back to the state because, you know, I'd be arrested, you know, for having a fucking abortion. You know, what the hell kind of an America is this? You know, when a woman can't even get the help that she needs, and then she's arrested for getting the help that she needs, and they probably go after the fucking doctor, you know? No. I'm sorry, but you can't allow a state to do something like that, because look what it's turning that state into. Okay? Doctors don't want to go have residency in states like that because they don't want to have to put up with the fucking the idiot state law that's in place that could get them in trouble for doing their fucking job. Okay? And we already got a shortage of doctors in this country. So what's Texas going to have to do? They're going to have to reach outside of this country to other countries and bring doctors in here. But do you think they're going to want to work there after they've experienced the Texas abortion ban law after a few times, and then a few of them get arrested, you know, and tried for assisting in an abortion? You know, eventually they won't come over here either. When you know, one or two of them get caught up in that red tape crap they got in that state. It's like like I keep saying over, you know, if Texas wants to go down that fucking road, all right, of this narrow-minded fascist bullshit thought that they seem to have injected in them thanks to this son of a bitchin' governor they got there, okay? If this is where they want to go, then I would recommend that the people in Texas, who, if you love it, petition the state petition to get their state removed from the United States, to deunionize from us. Okay, just leave the country, please. Be your own little country if that's what you want. Because frankly, you don't live. The way you're running things now, you're not following the principles of the American culture. You're not. You're trying to be your own thing, and you've been doing this for a long fucking time. It isn't just now. I lived in that state for a while, and even then, the attitude about people in Texas, you know, people living in that state, was that we do what we want and fuck the government. Even back then in the 80s, it was like that down there. So I'm saying, look, enough of that. You guys want it your way, fine. If you don't believe in American principles and ethics and whatever we stand for, fine. Get the hell out of it, okay? Take that goddamn American flag off your Capitol and just raise the star flag, whatever the hell you got there, okay? Just that. Be your own fucking country, you know? And don't expect help from us whenever you fall on your ass financially or some natural disaster. Don't expect any help from us, okay? We spend a lot of money in that state, disaster relief, for, you know, different things, and we're not appreciated for it because we give them money and they don't use it for whatever the hell problem happens. They pocket that fucking money and they use it on all kinds of other things in Texas. Like that power grid and all that shit. Remember that went out there one winter down there? They didn't fix that. No, they didn't spend one dime of that money that the government sent them to fix that, because that all belongs to a private company to deal with. Okay? They get their money, they get their electricity from some private company down there that doesn't have to follow any fucking state law. So they didn't get no money from that. That all went right to the state government, you know. And what did they do with that fucking money? Nobody fucking knows, you know. So if they want to run their little state into the ground, okay, make it a country instead of a state. You know, don't do it and then come crying to us, say, "Oh, we need help." No. You can't have it both ways. You can't make your state the way it is and then expect us to bail you out when you fuck up, okay? You either run your state the way all the other states are supposed to be run, okay, under the banner of the American flag, and you follow the principles and guidelines of our government, okay, unless you follow that if you want to be part of the United States. If not, there's nothing holding you there, okay? We'll cut your ties to the country and you guys can create your own currency and make your own goddamn economy down there. Do whatever the fuck you want, all right? And everybody else will just avoid going there, period. All right? No one will want to go visit Texas if you guys are going to run that state like some goddamn Saudi Arabian fucking offshoot or whatever the hell you want to call it. Okay, nobody wants that. Women don't want to be treated like shit. And you're going to be losing people living there, you know, as time goes on. People are just going to get sick and tired of that ban, and they're going to say, fuck it, you know, we're not going to stay here. You're already losing doctors all over there now. You're going to be losing residents in that state as well because, hey, they got daughters they're raising and stuff like that, and they're not going to want to subject their kids to that draconian fucking law you passed down there, okay, and see infant deaths rise even further in the days to come. Nobody's going to want to live in that death state. So, like I said, that's where your state's future is heading right now. And I don't think the United States deserves to be associated with a state like that. You know, either get rid of that fucking governor and bring some sanity back to the system down there, or just, you know, leave. Just leave the country. Leave the fucking country. All right, so let's go to a commercial, but the next segment, there's more to talk about on this abortion issue here after the commercial break, so I'll see you there on the other end.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
I'm proud to be promoting the God Bless the USA Bible. It's my favorite book.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody.
Donald Trump found guilty all 34 counts of falsifying business records.
Donald Trump's hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels.
She'd had an affair with Trump.
I am the chosen one.
The Trump Organization frauded the state of New York.
$354 million.
I'm very greedy.
We must make America pray again.
How stupid are the people of the country to believe this crap?
What will you tell your kids? That you voted for a felon and a criminal, supported a man found guilty by a citizen jury, went into the voting booth happy to pull the lever for the only former president in history to bear the mark of criminal shame. Will you tell them that breaking the law is how they should live their lives? That lying to their families about porn stars and hush money is how they should behave? Do you want your son to treat women like a man who was found to have committed sexual assault? Do you want your daughter to be a victim of a man like him?
You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years.
Hey, when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the...
Will you tell them that he was honest, that he was a good man?
Very fine people on both sides.
That he treated people the way you've taught them?
Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you.
Will you tell them you're proud of his cruelty? Happy with the ugly insults?
I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers.
The attacks on women and the endless lies that the chaos, death, and danger he brought was worth it. We know it's hard to walk away and put country over party, but your kids are watching. You're not just voting for your future, you're voting for theirs.
What is a failed coup? Is it a loss? A defeat? A victory for the good guys? What happens to those who perpetrated the coup? Are there consequences? Or do they remain in power? And if they do, when are we safe? What will stop them next time?
Donald Trump's campaign is obsessed with the past. He's willing to sacrifice our democracy, put himself in power. Not America, not you.
A failed coup with no consequences is just a training exercise for the next attack.
I am your voice. I am your warrior. I am your justice. I am your retribution.
And make no mistake, they're going to try again. Unless you stop them.
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it. Write for Pollution Booklet, Box 1771, Radio City Station, New York.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back. Okay, so as I said before we went to break, there's more to talk about on this issue here of abortion. And there's this article here from NBC News where Trump addressed conservative Christians who want to see him go further on banning abortion. Well, what do you expect from conservative Christians, right? I mean, that's been the root of the problem here from the get-go. All right, former President Trump gave the keynote speech to the Faith and Freedom Coalition's 2024 Road to Majority conference in Washington on Saturday. That was just this past weekend here. Speaking to an evangelical group whose advocacy for a national abortion ban conflicts with Trump's policy statements on the issue. Trump, the presumptive Republican presidential nominee, has walked a tightrope in his remarks on abortion restrictions, which Democrats see as a liability for the GOP going into November. Earlier this year, he declined to endorse a national abortion ban, saying the issue should be left to the states to decide. Quote, "The people will decide, and that's the way it should be. The people are now deciding," unquote, Trump said Saturday, referring to legislation at the state level. The former president, however, has waffled on the abortion issue for decades, referring to himself as, quote, pro-choice, unquote, then, quote, pro-life, unquote, at various times. On Saturday, he repeated that he supported exceptions to that allow abortion when the mother's life is at risk, as well as in cases of rape and incest. Quote, "I think most people do actually, but some people don't," unquote. Trump said, quote, "You have to go with your heart, but you have to also remember you have to get elected," unquote. Despite their differences with Trump on a national ban, Christian conservatives make up a key part of the former president's support base, and they have lauded his nomination of 3 Supreme Court justices who voted in 2022 to overturn Roe v. Wade in a decision that eliminated the federal constitutional right to an abortion. The former president on Saturday took a victory lap for nominating those justices, Neil Gorsuch, Brett Kavanaugh, and Amy Coney Barrett, and thanked the court's conservative majority, quote, for the wisdom and the courage they showed on this long-term, very contentious issue, unquote. The Faith and Freedom Coalition has advocated for abortion bans in many states since the Supreme Court's June 2022 ruling. On Saturday, Trump's 9th appearance at the group's Road to Majority conference, the former president was welcomed with open arms. Quote, "This man, among all the other things he did for this great nation, he appointed not 1, not 2, but 3 Supreme Court justices," unquote. Ralph Reed, founder and chairman of the Faith and Freedom Coalition, said before Trump spoke, adding, quote, "He's a great friend of this organization," unquote. In his remarks, Trump rallied attendees to convince their fellow Christians to vote, quote, "just this once," unquote. Quote, "The evangelicals and the Christians, they don't vote as much as they should. I don't know if you know that," unquote, Trump told the crowd, adding, quote, "You know, they go to church every Sunday, but they don't vote. And we have to make sure they vote just this time because all you have to do is this time," unquote. The former president added that the alternative, the re-election of President Joe Biden, would leave Christianity, quote, "in tatters," unquote. He also called Biden, quote, "crooked," unquote, a, quote, "Marxist," unquote, quote, "incompetent," unquote, and, quote, "a threat to democracy," unquote. Christ, sounds like he's talking about himself. Quote, "We need Christian voters to turn out the largest numbers ever to tell crooked Joe Biden, you're fired, Joe. Get out of here," unquote. Trump said to cheers, referring to a signature line from his 2000s-era reality competition show, The Apprentice. Trump also said during his remarks that he pitched a migrant fighter league to UFC president Dana White. Quote, "Why don't you set up a migrant league of fighters and have your regular league of fighters?" unquote. Trump said he floated to White, quote, "And then you have the champion of your league. These are the greatest fighters in the world. Fight the champion of the migrants," unquote. quote, "It's not the worst idea I've ever had," unquote, he added later. In a statement, Biden campaign spokesperson Serafina Chatika called Trump's speech an, quote, "incoherent, unhinged tirade," unquote, adding that it, quote, "showed voters, in his own words, that he is a threat to our freedoms, and he is too dangerous to be let anywhere near the White House again. The American people can and will stop him by re-electing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris this November," unquote. All right. The last person in the world who even should be asked about abortion is Donald Trump, okay? The guy lies all the fucking time. He's only going to say what he needs to say to get himself re-elected. Once he's in there, all these people that have been shouting at him and telling him what to do, all of a sudden he's just going to close the fucking door on your face, and he's never going to listen to you ever again, okay? I mean, think about it. This is the same motherfucker who was being told by the CDC, you know, about during COVID, you know, you need to start wearing a mask when you go out in public and all that. And he's like, no, I ain't going to do it. You know, arrogance, you know, fucking arrogance. So yeah, he's gonna waffle on this abortion issue because he's still got feelers out there to find out what's the best position to stand on. He's not going to tell people something that could cost him votes or support. He's desperate right now to get voters, and he wants to stand on that quote-unquote tightrope they were talking about at the start of the article, so that way, you know, he can go either way depending on where he thinks he's going to get the most votes. But he doesn't have a position. He don't care about abortion, okay? He doesn't care about the women who get the abortion, okay? We already know what he thinks about women, so why would he care about what happens to them and when they're pregnant? Really, think about that. Does it really matter to go to him and ask him a question about women's issues? You know, after all the shit that he said about women, okay? And the truth is, if he even come out and said that I'm for abortion, he still would get their vote. The MAGAs would still support him, because it's not about what he stands for, okay, with them. It's not about that. It's about he's got an R next to his name, and they're going to vote R, Republican. You know, it doesn't matter who the presumptive nominee is going to be. It's all about their loyalty to the party. Party loyalty is what dominates the MAGA movement there. They want to get as many Republicans in office as they possibly can, no matter how unhinged they are, or how criminal they are, or how lopsided their views are. It doesn't fucking matter, you know, to them. All that matters is they got more Republicans in the Congress. That way they can write their own ticket whenever they want, and they won't have to worry about, you know, the other side being able to stop it. You know, it's swarm the government with pure numbers. That's all it is with them. All right? Because take a look at the few that they got in there now. What have they done so far? Nothing. All they've done is shoot down every idea that Joe Biden has come up with and tried to enact to help this country. That was their only purpose of getting as many as they got in there. Stop Joe Biden from making any accomplishments. That's their only focus. Okay? And then if they get more seats, more members in Congress, more members in the Senate, okay, then they can start doing things their way more. They've already got control of the fucking Supreme Court, okay, and they've been doing miracles with that, all right? But they ain't done, okay? If they can get the White House and they can get the other two buildings of our government here, okay, then, you know, it's not going to matter. You know who you know what the Democrats can do to trip them up, because they won't have the power to do so. You know, they just won't have it, and that's what they're shooting for. So for Donald Trump, he could come out and say all kinds of different things, you know, or waffle on different things, but they're not gonna decide whether or not to vote for him based on how sincere they think he is, you know, and how committed he is to what he's saying. That's not the reason they're going to vote. You know, I've already answered that question many times online to different people. They wonder, you know, if he doesn't back this up, will they still vote for him? They're going to vote for him no matter what. His base is a cult base, and a cult following will follow that son of a bitchin' leader to their grave. And there's plenty of evidence in history to show that people will do shit like that. Off the top of my head, Jim Jones, okay, cult leader, right there. Got everybody to drink poison Kool-Aid, and they all died, okay? Not a single one of them gave a second thought that, you know, maybe what I'm doing is wrong. No, they all went ahead and did it anyway. Okay? That's MAGA. People, that is fucking MAGA right there. These people are willing to drink the fucking Kool-Aid. That's why I say it doesn't matter what Trump says at these rallies. Most of the time what he says at these rallies makes absolutely no sense. It's like the lady said, it's a tirade, okay? It goes everywhere. He attacks people. He very seldom ever talks about what he plans to do if he becomes president. No. It's all about, oh, Joe Biden this and Joe Biden that, you know, or, you know, the things they're doing to me is the worst thing that's ever happened to anybody in the civilized world. You know, I mean, it's conflating things. It's, you know, it's all that. That's what he does. He entertains his crowd that way because hatred is all that they suck up from him. He hates this one, he hates that thing, and he hates all this, and, you know, and everybody claps and applauses to that, because that's what they live on, hatred. Okay? Any one of them ever think twice, you know, about what is it that you do love about this country? They couldn't answer that to you if you asked them what they love about America, because they spend so much time hating it, and yet they call themselves patriots. You know, they spend all this time hating the country, but yet they're proud to carry the flag. Well, you can't be two things at once. Okay? You can't be the devil and be an angel at the same fucking time. All right? You either love this country or you hate it. Which is it? You know? So, you know, these people being led by the nose by a tyrant, their brains have been put in a closet at home. Okay? And their days, I mean, a day in a life for a MAGA must be really difficult, because if they spend all their time hating, and Fox gives them every reason in the world to hate all kinds of different things. So they need Fox. When they're not getting Trump, they need Fox. Fox will keep their anger running. All right. And what happens to a person after a while when all they do is feed on hate all the time? They snap, don't they? Mentally, they do, because the human mind can't take that kind of level of anger all the time, every day, 7 days a week. They can't go through life hating everything. Okay? And you can tell when a person's about to crack because they start to say things in public that they shouldn't say at all in public, because it's inappropriate or it's not what they call politically correct. They say it, and they say it with no hesitation, you know, or something about a black person or trans people or gay people or you know what I'm saying? They'll just say something stupid. And that comes out a lot with people that are part of that movement, okay? You know, your average person who isn't sitting in front of the camera all day and has a practice in being able to cover up certain flaws that they might have so that doesn't get aired, they don't know how to do that. So when you catch them off guard and you ask them a question about something, you know, some social matter, you're going to get their real views on it like that, especially if they think you're a fellow MAGA. You know, and I've seen it come out, you know, many times around, you know, my girlfriend's mother, you know, saying things that she thinks there's nothing wrong with what she just said, but she says it, and it's like, you know, I hope nobody heard that, because there's going to be food or something flying in our direction. She'll say that. That's a person who's grounded in, whose grounding in reality is shaken and broken. I mean, you know, she's cracked, you know, and because she feeds on hate all the fucking time. They watch that fucking channel all day long, Fox, okay? And she, you know, listens to the Trump rally speeches and all that shit. Wears that stupid hat on her head that says MAGA. All right? And, you know, whenever she goes somewhere and has a conversation, she doesn't make it quiet when she talks about, oh, these trans people, or they're just, you know. No, she says it loud enough so that way you can hear it at the other end of the room. And you'd be surprised how people will tolerate that. You know, they won't say anything to her like, will you shut up, you know, and keep that to your... Nobody says that. Nobody says that to her. She'll shout that stuff out. People will look, but nobody says anything to her, you know, like, you shouldn't say that, or, you know, please excuse yourself from, you know, the staff, you know, or somebody, nobody... She does that within earshot of, you know, dozens of people will say stuff at the top of her lungs, you know, about, you know, black people or something like that. Hatred. Okay, that's the core of the fucking MAGA movement, is just fucking hatred. And they got the balls, the fucking balls to sit there and say, I'm a patriot. Half of them never served 1 minute in the fucking military, but, oh, I'm a patriot. Okay, I'm a fucking patriot. Yeah, you don't have to be a veteran or somebody in the military to consider yourself a patriot. A patriot can come in all different forms. But when you hate your country to that level, okay, and you can't find it in yourself to find anything good to say about it, then you can't be a patriot. You just can't. I mean, in Russia, you'd get shot for that, you know, if you couldn't say anything good about your country. If you were questioned by somebody in the government of Russia, okay, and you couldn't answer the question, you know, hey, you'd disappear. You know? But over here, it's all about hatred with them. It's all about hatred with them. And that's the... And when they sit there, when you ask them about abortion and they say a total ban, no exception, hatred right there is what fuels that kind of draconian, narrow thinking. Okay? Hatred. They hate the idea of women having abortions. Even though many of them probably had one when they were younger, okay? But they won't ever say it because they're still under that thumb of stigma, you know, that they can't ever utter the truth that they ever did something like that. But the fact is, a lot of Republican women, probably more than they even realize, had abortions themselves, even though they're out there carrying signs against that sort of thing, denying it to everybody else, you know. You know, they're two-faced in a lot of cases, and they're really disingenuous. They don't take the fucking time to learn from other people's experiences that, you know, hey, this is not a black and white issue. There's a lot of reasons why women have to have an abortion sometimes, and it isn't fun and games like they all think it is. It isn't because they decided, oh, I'm going to screw one night and I'm going to have abortion the next night. You know, it ain't that. It's not like that. You know, but where they get that from other people talking to them, trying to convince them to be anti-abortion because they have an agenda when they tell them this shit. They don't, you know, it's the religious people telling the masses, don't do it, it's wrong. These people do it because they're sinners, they're devils and shit. You know, and so everybody soaks that up and believes it, okay? That's what creates that. It's the fucking religion that puts that shit out there. And like I said, you know, church and state are supposed to be separate. Well, I think people, when they're adults, have a right to decide things for themselves. If they want to do that and it is a sin and they're not supposed to do it, then they're the ones that's going to answer for it, not you or all the other people in society. Okay? They'll take the fall. It won't be you. You don't have any worry in the world about these issues that happen because it doesn't affect you, and you shouldn't get yourself involved in these affairs. Okay? Really, I mean, if your life is so meaningless and everything that you have to put your nose in somebody else's life, please don't. Because if you can't take care of your own affairs, how are you going to take care of somebody else's affairs? Really, stay the fuck out of it. You know, clean up your own house. Stay the hell out of other people's homes. That's the simplest thing that you can do to be a better citizen in this country, is to mind your own goddamn business, really. It's not your fucking place to tell others how to live their fucking life, because you don't live it. You haven't walked a day in their shoes. You don't know what they're going through. You just got pre-existing notions in your mind. When you look at somebody that says, I'm going to have an abortion, already you paint that person as a fucking whore and all this shit. I know what you're doing, okay? You may not want to utter that the way I just did, but I know that's what you're thinking, okay? You can sugarcoat that all you want, but I know exactly what you're coming and where that's coming from, all right? So that's why I'm saying, you know, the issue of abortion is an issue that's singular to the person involved. It doesn't matter to everybody else. It shouldn't matter, and it's not our business. And leave the doctors alone. The last thing we need to do is put restrictions on them so they can't do their fucking job. What's the point of going to school to learn to be a doctor if by the time you graduate, You work in a state where they got a list of rules that you can't do this and that and all these other things, where you just got to stand there and let their patient die. You know, isn't it bad enough that we don't have enough doctors in this country that you got to go pull shit like that on them and make it worse? Jeez. Okay, that's it for today. So I'll talk to you guys another time. Subscribe, comment, and share. And keep your ears open for health issues. And please treat each other with kindness and sensitivity and understanding. It's always the best policy in those regards. So I will talk to you again later. And take care, everybody. Bye-bye.